6 months after Helen Mirren was physically escorted from Good Morning America for exposing age discrimination, she returned to the ABC studios last night. But this time, she came armed with evidence that would destroy George Stephanopoulos' career permanently. The 78-year-old dame didn't come for reconciliation. She came for justice. What started as ABC's attempt at damage control would become the most devastating takedown in morning television history. But the real story began weeks earlier, when whistleblowers inside ABC reached out to Mirren with documentation that changed everything. The Times Square studios were in complete chaos before filming even began. Helen Mirren had agreed to return only under specific conditions: live broadcast with no delay, no pre-screening of questions, and full control over what she could discuss. ABC executives were so desperate to rehabilitate their image after the discrimination lawsuit that they agreed to everything. But what they didn't know was that Mirren had spent 6 months collecting testimonies from dozens of women who'd been discriminated against by Stephanopoulos. A security guard later revealed that Mirren arrived with 2 lawyers and a briefcase full of documents. The atmosphere was beyond tense. It was terrified. Therefore, when cameras started rolling, everyone knew this wasn't going to be a normal show. The show opened with obvious awkwardness. Robin Roberts had returned specifically for this episode, her first time back since walking off in solidarity with Mirren. Michael Strahan looked uncomfortable, but Stephanopoulos appeared confident, having prepared what he thought was a perfect apology. He'd been coached by crisis management experts for weeks. Therefore, he believed he could control the narrative. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Dame Helen Mirren," Robin announced with genuine warmth. The audience erupted in massive applause, giving her a standing ovation before she even appeared. Mirren walked out carrying a folder, her expression serene but her eyes holding steel. She hugged Robin warmly, nodded to Michael, but when she reached Stephanopoulos, she simply said, "George, we need to talk." "Helen, first let me apologize," Stephanopoulos began with his prepared statement. "No," Mirren interrupted firmly. "You don't get to control this conversation. You had your chance. Now it's mine." She opened her folder. "Since our last encounter, 37 women have contacted me. ABC employees, former guests, interns, all with stories about you. Shall we discuss them?" she asked. Stephanopoulos went pale. "I don't think." "Of course you don't think. That's been the problem all along," Mirren interrupted. "Let me read you something. This is from Sarah, a 28-year-old producer you fired. George told me I was too pretty to be taken seriously and too smart to be pretty. When I reported him to HR, I was let go within a week." The audience gasped, but Mirren continued. "Here's another. Margaret, 55, former segment producer. George said women over 50 were only good for cooking segments and medical warnings. He reassigned me from politics to lifestyle, then eliminated my position." "These are allegations," Stephanopoulos protested weakly. "No, George. These are testimonies. Sworn. Legal. Documented. Your attempts to silence them failed because they found me," Mirren said. Therefore, she stood up, commanding the entire studio. "But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because of what I discovered about you. The real story. The one ABC has been covering up for years," she said. She pulled out another document. "This is your contract with ABC. The secret addendum. The one that guarantees you protection from discrimination lawsuits. The one that makes ABC pay your settlements. Should I read the exact figure they've paid to silence women over the years?" she asked. ABC executives in the control room were panicking, but they couldn't cut the live feed without making things worse. Stephanopoulos was trapped. "That's confidential. For $0.7 million, Mirren announced. "That's what ABC has paid to make your problems go away. 15 women, George. 15 settlements. All with NDAs. But NDAs don't apply when there's criminal behavior," she said. Robin Roberts looked shocked. "Criminal?" she asked. "Tell them about Jennifer, George. The intern. 22 years old. Tell them what you did," Mirren commanded. Stephanopoulos' hands were shaking. "I don't know what. You cornered her in your dressing room. When she rejected you, you had her blacklisted from the industry. She has recordings, George. Your voice, your threats. She gave them to me, Mirren revealed. But then she revealed something even more devastating. You know why ABC keeps protecting you? Because you have dirt on them too. The illegal surveillance of employees. The racial discrimination in hiring. The tax fraud. You've been blackmailing each other for years. Mutually assured destruction. Until now, she said. She pulled out her phone. This is interesting. It's a message from Bob Iger, Disney's CEO. He's watching right now. He says, and I quote, "MS, Mirren, you have Disney's full support. Mr. Stephanopoulos' employment is terminated effective immediately. Surprise, George. They threw you under the bus to save themselves," she read. The studio erupted. Stephanopoulos stood up, shaking with rage. "You can't do this. I'm not doing anything. You did this. Every harassment, every discrimination, every abuse of power. I'm just the messenger. Although I must admit, I'm enjoying being the messenger," Mirren said with satisfaction. Therefore, she turned to address the camera directly. To everyone watching, this is what happens when we stand together. When we refuse to be silenced. When we demand justice. George Stephanopoulos is just one man, but he represents a system. Today, that system starts falling, she declared. This is defamation, Stephanopoulos started. Truth is an absolute defense against defamation. Everything I've said is documented. Would you like me to play the recordings? I have several, Mirren offered, pulling out a small recorder. She pressed play. Stephanopoulos' voice filled the studio. Women over 40 are ratings poison. Fire them before they get too comfortable. Make up performance issues if necessary. The audience booed. Several people walked out in disgust. But Mirren wasn't finished. She played another recording. That Mirren bitch thinks she's untouchable. We'll see about that. Old women need to learn their place. Robin Roberts stood up. George, how could you? She asked, genuinely hurt. But Mirren revealed more. Robin, he's been undermining you for years. He's the one who leaked your salary negotiations to create conflict. He wanted you gone so he could have full control, she said. Michael Strahan also stood up. The stories about my divorce, you leaked those too? He asked. He leaked everything. He's been playing everyone against each other while pretending to be the professional one. Classic manipulation, Mirren confirmed. Therefore, Stephanopoulos found himself completely isolated on his own show. But Mirren delivered the final blow. You want to know the best part, George? Your wife is leaving you. Ollie's lawyer contacted me. She's filing for divorce. She's tired of being married to a monster. She's been documenting your behavior for years, she revealed. You're lying, Stephanopoulos said desperately. Call her. She's watching. Call her right now and ask, Mirren challenged. Stephanopoulos pulled out his phone with shaking hands. The call went straight to voicemail. His face crumbled. The reality was undeniable. But Mirren showed unexpected humanity. You know what's tragic, George? You were talented once. You could have been great. Instead, you chose to be small, petty, cruel. You crushed others to elevate yourself. And now you're nothing, she said. Security appeared, but they weren't there for Mirren. They were there for Stephanopoulos. Mr. Stephanopoulos, we need you to leave the premises, the head of security said. This is my show, Stephanopoulos screamed. Not anymore, Robin Roberts said firmly. Helen's right. We've enabled you too long. It's over. Therefore, as Stephanopoulos was escorted out, Mirren called after him. Oh, George, the FBI will be contacting you about those blackmail allegations. Turns out extortion is still illegal. Good luck with that, she said. The studio was silent except for Stephanopoulos' fading protests. Mirren sat back down calmly. Now then, Robin, should we do an actual interview? I believe we have 20 minutes to fill, she said pleasantly. Robin Roberts, still in shock, managed to continue. Helen, this is unprecedented. No, Robin. What was unprecedented was allowing him to discriminate for years. This is just consequences finally arriving, Mirren replied. The rest of the show became a powerful discussion about discrimination, power, and justice. Mirren revealed the support network she'd built for victims. She announced a foundation to help women in media fight discrimination. She turned destruction into construction. Within minutes, #Mirren exposes everything was trending globally. The recordings went viral. News outlets worldwide covered the explosive revelation. The story dominated every platform. But the real impact came from within ABC. Dozens of employees came forward with their own stories. The investigation that followed revealed systemic corruption. Executive resignations followed. The network faced complete restructuring. Stephanopoulos was arrested within hours on extortion charges. The FBI investigation revealed years of blackmail and coercion. His assets were frozen. His reputation was destroyed beyond redemption. Meanwhile, Mirren became a hero to millions. Her courage in returning to face her attacker inspired countless women to speak up. The Mirren method of documentation and strategic revelation became a template for fighting workplace discrimination. Disney implemented sweeping changes across all properties. New protective policies were enacted. The culture of silence was shattered. Real change, not cosmetic fixes, began happening. Therefore, the morning that started as damage control became a revolution. Mirren had returned not for reconciliation, but for justice. And she delivered it with surgical precision. She released a final statement. I returned to Good Morning America not for revenge, but for revelation. George Stephanopoulos thought he was untouchable. He learned that when women stand together, no one is untouchable. This is just the beginning. The empty chair Stephanopoulos left wasn't filled. It remained empty as a reminder. A reminder of what happens when power corrupts, when discrimination is tolerated, when silence enables abuse. Years later, the Mirren return would be studied in journalism schools as the moment when morning television was forced to confront its darkest truths. It became the catalyst for industry-wide reform. But that morning, all anyone saw was Helen Mirren calmly destroying a man who'd tried to destroy her. She'd returned to the scene of her humiliation and transformed it into his downfall. She'd proven that age and wisdom defeat youth and arrogance every time. At 78, Helen Mirren had done more than destroy George Stephanopoulos. She'd destroyed the system that protected him. She'd shown that patience and preparation could topple even the most entrenched power. The dame had returned, and she'd brought receipts.